All right. Hello and welcome to Business and Today's Environment, brought to you by MHG Insurance Brokers and Paycor. My name is Kayla O'Neill, and I'm with Paycor, and I will be your facilitator for today. And thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope to prepare you to make the most educated insurance and benefit decisions and ensure that you know how to transition to a predominantly work from home staff with tips to keep workers engaged, motivated, and productive. We also want to ensure that you prepare your business for potential interruption, save money, and provide you ways to protect your employees and your businesses. I do want to add that we will also be selecting one lucky attendee to win a pair of Apple AirPods. So be on the lookout for an email with that winner. All right, so now let's introduce our companies for today. And MHG Insurance Brokers opened their doors in 1991 with a mission to offer independent insurance advice and solutions to better the lives and well-being of Marine crew members across the globe. Today, that mission extends to many different industries, including businesses as a whole. The relationships they have with top carriers, the knowledge and expertise of their team members, and the commitment to guiding clients through claims is what sets them apart from other brokers. Now, Paycor has been in business for over 30 years out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We have over 40,000 clients nationwide and growing year after year. Paycor's HCM platform modernizes every aspect of people management, from the way organizations recruit, onboard, and develop people to the way they pay them, retain them, and build a company culture. With one single source of truth for all employee data, you'll never have to switch platforms, log into multiple systems, rekey information, or open numerous spreadsheets. That simplifies your everyday work processes and gives you time back in your day to focus on more important things like growing your business. All right, so let's go ahead and meet our speakers for today. Let's jump right into it. Our first speaker that we have is Nadia Badassi Francis, and she is the Life and Health Division Business Development Manager at MHG Insurance Brokers. We are so fortunate to have Nadia on the call with us today. Her experience in the health insurance industry and HR allows her to understand employee benefits from all sides, which in turn helps clients in making the best decisions for their businesses from a benefit standpoint. Nadia's expertise in these areas is invaluable, and we hope you all benefit from her knowledge today. All right, we also have Besmir Bega, who is a major market sales executive with Paycor. Now, Besmir has over 7 years of experience in human capital management. He has helped many organizations streamline their employee life cycle processes from hire to retire. Besmir brings a great amount of thought leadership to the conversation, and we are super excited to have him as well. Last but not least, we have Monica Keel, who is the Business Development Manager at MHG Insurance Brokers. Monica has years of experience in both the payroll industry and insurance industry, which really allows her to view the needs of clients from a very well-rounded place of understanding. Her experience, coupled with her strong relationships with both industries, has allowed her to place clients with an appropriate market to ensure risk mitigation at affordable rates. All right, so at this time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Nadia.
Thank you, Kayla, for that wonderful introduction. And as Kayla mentioned, my name is Nadia Badassi Francis. I'm with MHG Insurance Brokers. And today I want to talk about keeping your employees engaged while working from home. So I think we could all agree that 2020 has been a unique year, a year that most of us have not seen in our lifetime. There's events and things that are happening we've never experienced. Some companies are flourishing. We talk about the IT companies, the grocery stores, software companies. They are doing well, better than they've ever done in previous years. Some companies, unfortunately, had to close their doors, but for the most part, companies were able to just make some changes and are able to survive and even thrive. prior to COVID, statistics had already started to show that working from home was the new trend. You know, you talk about the Amazons of the world, the Google, they had already made that transition. The difference is they had the time to plan properly and to provide the support that their employees will need. Well, the pandemic happened, and smaller companies who probably thought about it didn't have the time they needed. It became mandatory. If they wanted to continue doing business, they had to have their employees working from home in a very short space of time. So in our recent study, the latest study that's out dates back in June of 2020, it shows that 75 million US employees are still working from home as a result of COVID. Often employees think about the advantages of working from home, right? So we think about, well, that's less drive time, that's less mileage on my car, I'm saving on fuel, lunch expenses, all the work-related expenses. I get to wake up later. That's more time with my family or my pets or possibly elders that are in my home. Well, what we did not consider were all the things that we're getting when we go to work, the benefits of the social networking with our colleagues, the banter, the jokes. We're not having that anymore. Now, we talk about mental health. It has already been a big topic. With the pandemic, it just got even bigger. So the emotional impact that's playing on the working from home. We also now have to balance work from home in the same space where we're parents, or we're taking care of our pets, or we're taking care of our parents maybe. Everything is all happening in one space, and we had a very short time to make that all work. Now also, let's talk about the physical effects from being less active. So do you remember the days when we used to drive in and we probably would go to the grocery store or wherever, and we would park even further away just to get some more steps in? Well, now we're not really going out as much. So we have to make it a conscious effort to make sure that we're getting some physical activity in there. So some of the things that companies, employers are doing just to make sure that this work from home is successful, they're having team meetings. Which in these team meetings, they're encouraging their employees to just have that banter among themselves. You know, talk about what happened during the weekend. You know, we had this thing with my family. Also, this is the place that you want to talk about productivity. Is things moving in the right direction? If so, great. If not, let's talk about making some changes. At the end of the day, we're in this to make a profit. So whatever means, whether it's virtual or live, we need to make that happen. Companies are also doing challenges. I spoke with a few companies that are doing some Halloween challenges where the employees get to send in their best costume, just some fun things to change it up so you're not doing the same thing over and over in that same space. As a good manager or supervisor, you can tell that something is going on with your employee, whether that's when you're in that virtual meeting or you're talking to them, the tone is probably changing. You could tell something's up. Well, that's when you want to probably have a one-on-one meeting to talk through those challenges, figure out what you could do to move things in the right direction. I think it's safe to say that if we're working from home, there is some type of software or technology that we could use to measure productivity. Some companies were installing it for the first time. Some were improving one that they already have. Or for those that are working well, they're maintaining that software. But whatever it is, we want to make sure that there is a way that we're measuring productivity and making sure that we're still making a profit. You know, a company might say, well, I'm doing all that. I'm doing the team meetings. I'm having the one-on-ones. I'm doing the challenges. What else can I do to help my employees to be better? Well, let's talk about insurance. Are there policies, or in my current policy, if you do have one, are there any provisions for mental health that will help them to work better from home? Well, the major carriers are taking note. They've seen that this pandemic is causing havoc on groups. Jeremy, next slide. Some changes that are being made by the carriers, they're making it easy and potentially cheaper for new groups to get insurance. You know, if you already have insurance, They're doing rate holds or potentially even decreases for renewing groups. You want to make sure that your plan does have an EAP program. So that's an employee assistance program. These programs help to provide free counseling to the members, and even family members who are not part of the plan, it could extend to them as well. Also, you want to make sure that your plan does have telemedicine. Telemedicine has become a trend prior to COVID, but even now more than ever, you don't want to go to a doctor's office if you don't have to, right? You want to be able to use your smart device and go and talk to a doctor just with your device. They could look at things like maybe I have a rash or my throat doesn't feel right. They're able to do all those things. And if you need a prescription, they could send one to your pharmacy. Also, a good plan is going to have a wellness program. A wellness program will help to keep your employees in tune with their physical health. And in some programs, it offers premium credits for the employer as well. Last but not least, a good plan is going to offer free COVID testing. So you're not waiting in long lines to be tested. I work with some of the carriers. They even have where you could get a test at home. So make sure that you're talking to your broker and your plan has all these things in place. It's now more important than ever to make sure that you're protecting your employees. We've talked about this in previous years, but with COVID, we realized the importance of having a good policy in place for your employees. All brokers are not created equal, let's face it. But the right broker is going to listen to your needs. Their job is not to do what's easier for them, but to find the right solutions for you. They're going to listen to your needs. They're going to go out there and go to market and come back with solutions. And remember, it's not just about the sale. A good broker is going to follow you all year round. They're going to help you with your claims. If you have a question, their job is to make your life easier. Visit their website. See what their clients are saying about them. Read their reviews and testimonials. Always feel free to jump on our website, www.mhginsurance.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And at this point, I'm going to turn you back over to Kayla. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nadia, for all of that valuable information. I did want to ask you a question, if you don't mind. A lot of companies are feeling the financial strain right now from COVID. You mentioned that health insurance carriers are making it easier and cheaper for group clients to renew. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. So even prior to this point, once COVID happened, the carriers, they took a step back and they realized, okay, what can we do to help our groups? So one of the things that they were already doing was they were providing payment extensions. So instead of making sure that your payment was there, say the 10th of the month, they were giving up to 90 days for those payments to be had. Now for new groups, they are again realizing companies have taken a big financial hit this year. So they're making it cheaper. Now your broker is going to be able to go back to that carrier, renegotiate, ask for a rate relief. You could sometimes couple a medical plan with a supplemental plan. There are a lot of things that you could do to make those plans cheaper than what is initially presented. So speak with your broker, have them go back, and they speak the language, so they know exactly what to say to the carrier to drive those prices down.
Thank you for that. All right. So now let's go ahead and turn it over to Besmir.
Hey, thank you very much, Kyla, for the warm introduction. I truly appreciate it. Hello, everybody. My name is Besmir Vega, and I am one of the sales executives for Paycor here in Fort Lauderdale. It's my pleasure to speak in front of you today. On behalf of Paycor and MHG, I want to thank you, obviously, for being here and spending this quality time with us. Since COVID hit, it's been a very tough 6 months, obviously, and we've all seen many businesses, small and large, really struggle and continue to struggle with this horrendous disease. My goal today is to provide some insight from Paycor C-Suite, who are some of the best and brightest in the industry, so that you may take some of these ideas about the future of work with COVID and be able to apply them to your organization for some continued success, hopefully. So COVID hit and everything suddenly changed, right? Today we stand with over 30 million Americans unemployed and still counting. Are we looking at an economic recession until 2021? Remote employees juggling work and family under the same roof are finding it very difficult and exhausting. Workers suddenly are faced with temperature checks at office, health screenings before they even show up. So what does this really mean for your business on an overall picture? There's a lot of uncertainty for the long-term future, but my goal today is to help you tackle some of these challenges ahead in regards to talent management. We're going to talk about workforce planning, what your benefit strategy should be, and the overall just improving of the employee experience. So thinking about the workforce today, 10 years of job growth obviously were wiped out in a month. Recruiting in the next year will be all over the map for organizations for obviously no fault of their own. The good news though is that Paycor currently is seeing a lot of hiring activity lately for especially HR, finance, and IT roles, which means that we're on a rebound and eventually everything will be back to where we were prior to the pandemic. We simply just have to, we just simply have to. So depending on whether your organization, where your organization stands today, here's some things that you do to prepare on how to be able to manage your recruiting moving forward. For companies that are not planning on hiring first, we'll start with that. Now is the time for you to be able to build a recruiting pipeline. Even if reopening proceeds and fits and starts, the job market will come back fast in some areas and slow in some others. But when hiring comes back, we may find competition for top talent, and especially in certain industries, come back as intense as ever. The reality is that no matter what the employer does to encourage career development, for example, and loyalty, there's just always going to be a certain percentage of people who perhaps they took a pay cut in April who will just start looking for opportunities in the very near future. Now, this is a great chance for you to leapfrog your competition. So if your competitors are not building a pipeline currently, they will never catch up. If you have a talent pipeline in place, it could be a decisive strategic edge to your business and organization in the next coming months. So now we'll switch to companies that are hiring. Right? We'll talk about it, the labor market is on the rebound. Thousands of companies will once again vie for converting the most exceptional profiles into candidates. An applicant tracking system will really help you simplify the process of being able to find the right candidate. Before, there was just too many job openings and not enough qualified candidates. But Paycor has seen job applications double and triple at times, and this is just very recent, which makes it very hard to stay on top of recruiting without an applicant tracking software to just overall help you sort out everything within your organization. So being able to stay organized is very, very key in a time like this. Now, for people who have kept their jobs, right, very lucky, recruiters will see them as top talent. So expect a lot of poaching in the next coming months. An interesting side effect of working from home is that it's just a lot easier for a recruiter to get in touch with a candidate and, have a very nice long phone call middle of the day. Are you overall being compliant is another big question that I get. Employers will make testing for the virus part of their hiring process. So you have to be prepared to have a plan in place when your employees do come back, indeed, if they haven't returned to work yet. Many companies are just following what Amazon and Walmart are doing and requiring medical screenings, for example, or temperature checks, before they can actually enter the building. So it's very important for you and your organization to be able to follow the latest CDC and EEOC guidelines on testing job applicants for COVID so that your employees can indeed feel very safe. So now we'll switch a little bit and just talk about your workforce planning overall. So HR and finance will no longer work silos. As of today, 43% of HR teams aren't involved in managing costs at all. Small businesses are being forced to run both efficiently and be more creative since they just simply lack some of the resources that the bigger organizations have access to. So I want you to look for this legacy division of labor to give way to a new, necessarily more collaborative reality in the near future for HR and finance to be able to work closely together for the overall benefit of the organization. So when HR and finance, they start sharing a brain, they can better diagnose overall and solve complex talent-related problems. But now you won't be able to achieve any of this without the ability to share data. For many companies, data is spread out between different systems, for example, and they just simply don't speak to each other. When a company faces tough questions to drive better performance outcome on whether you want to tweak your salaries, benefits, training, etc., HR and finance can't talk about these scenarios if they can't locate and agree on the data is driving that decision. Businesses need a complete picture of labor costs to be able to do what a unified HRIS system can do with great analytics, and that will solve a lot of your issues as an organization moving forward. So switching on now to your benefit strategy for the near-term future. A SHRM study just recently found that 1/3 of Americans are showing signs of clinical anxiety. Your employees are suffering from mental, financial, social, and physical health. So it's more important now than ever for HR to work closely with your brokers on just coming up with a perfect benefit strategy. One of the things that we're seeing is insurance carriers are extending employee assistance programs at no cost, and some of these even offer free trials. So for business owners, the key is to work with a broker who can match you with an EAP with a top-notch network of specialists in it. Next is virtual health. That's the big topic that everybody's talking about nowadays. I know I'm taking my kids, virtually via Zoom calls, etc. So this is here to stay, obviously. As all of these changes are taking place, telehealth has increased by 53% in 2017, and currently over 96% of large employers are offering. So this is something for you and your organization to really think about and be able to speak to your brokers moving forward in today's business environment. So now there's a couple of compliance watch outs I want you to be careful when we're talking about the response to COVID. So first of all, the federal government issued some new rules that allowed employed workers to use HSA funds to cover telemedicine. If one of your employees is laid off, for example, they can use HSA funds to cover COBRA premiums. Tax-free. I'm not sure if you knew that or not. That's big. That's big help for some of these employees that have lost their jobs. Employers that receive PPP loans, for example, they can use some of those funds from the PPP to begin or increase contributions to their employees' HSA accounts. And finally, I will speak a little bit about something that I feel like is very important and I see on a daily basis, and that is the company culture and what the future potentially looks like when we're talking about the culture overall. So first I want to start by saying just do not let your company culture be a casualty of COVID. No matter if your company is on site or virtual currently, your company culture is changing whether you want it or not. COVID disrupted everything, especially your employees' relationship with each other, their managers, and overall their organization as a whole. So do not let company culture be a casualty of COVID. Again, the most important thing you can do as a leader is just simply listen to your employees at times. Companies that get remote work right will have a big edge over their competition. If your organization can develop and maintain a virtual environment, for example, that is healthy, productive, and enjoyable, you'll be much more effective in recruiting and being able to retain your top talent. So what is the way forward? Well, we believe that the way forward is investing in learning. Before the crisis, right, there was a general principle, but now training has taken on a whole new dimension. There's an immediate need, for example, for technical training, how to use remote work tools, right? Not everybody knows how to use all this kind of stuff. How to maintain network security, that's very, very big. How to set up your home office, and the list goes on and on. And step two is just overall how to be able to thrive in today's environment, how to have really effective online meetings, right? This is new for a lot of us, how to collaborate with co-workers online, and again, the list goes on and on. So you should be putting a training program in place to help each individual employee feel comfortable. And again, this will increase your retention rate and be able to lure in some of the best talent available for your organization. And that's it for me. I really want to thank you all for your time today. Again, my name is Besmer Vega. I hope you all got something out of today's webinar, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So thanks again, Kyla, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Besmer, for that great information. I'm sure there's actually a question I do want to ask you, if you don't mind. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking the same thing. So there are a lot of HCM providers out there. What's the main difference between Paycor and other competitors?
Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you. As you can see on the screen, Paycor is a full service provider, and obviously we've been in business for 30 plus years. What I would say our biggest difference between us and the competition is our just unified system. And what that means is it's single sign-on that was overall designed for leaders. Many of our competitors are designed for the end user, clearly being the employees, but we took a little different approach because through our analytics, our technology, our thought leadership, so through webinars, kind of like what we're doing right now, and our overall customer retention and customer service, we are averaging a 94% customer retention, which is by far highest in the industry. So the way that we do our business and how vetted our entire process and sales process is really the biggest differentiator, I would say, from a competitive standpoint between us and our biggest competitors.
And who doesn't love that, right, Besmer? All right, so all right, so now it's time to go ahead and pass it over to our last speaker for today, Monica.
Hi, thank you, Kayla. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for also joining me to talk about today's insurance. Insurance changes constantly and it affects businesses around the globe. So regarding commercial insurance, I want to talk to you about the concerns you might have, relief that is available to your business, and guidance, that we can provide you with for today's commercial insurance climate. So this is one topic we've been getting a lot of questions about is, do I have business interruption and business income coverage? Well, what are a few things that can interrupt or have an impact on your business? So you have your, supply chain, your inventory. We've seen a lot of, riots and civil commotion going on this year in 2020, which is, of course, outside and beyond our own control. So those events do happen, interrupting our business, unfortunately. We've also seen a chain of natural disasters happen a lot on the west coast of our state. There's low demand. We've been experiencing that as well because of lack of travel and, just the supply that's out there going back and forth with various countries. So the question that we've been getting asked a ton lately is, are pandemics excluded from this coverage? Well, if we take a look at the SARS outbreak, for example, back in I believe it's 2002 to 2003, insurance companies wouldn't be able to cover every single business that's out there just because, the pandemic actually interrupted their business. So unfortunately, because it does have an impact on your business, it's quite a lot of variety of businesses that would have been suffering. But for this reason, unfortunately, insurance carriers would probably go out of business. However, there are some claims we've heard of that have been getting approved. So if you feel that it's necessary, go ahead and put that in. Moving on, I would like to talk about cost containment and cash flow management. The advice is, I would say renegotiate your rate. Right now, everything's negotiable, so go ahead and speak with your broker, speak with your carrier. Also check with your agent or your broker to evaluate your State Department of Financial Services relief options. They are, I know some states are, going ahead and giving relief options such as deferring payment of premiums without penalties due to the hardship of COVID-19. There is more moratorium extensions, accelerated claim resolutions, and also keep in mind if you do need to, make these late payments, they won't be reported to credit agencies. So something to think about if you need a bit more of that cash flow coming into your business accounts. Also prepare for riots and civil commotion. Should they happen, you may then want to utilize your business interruption coverage if that would result due to physical damage. So if your business is suffering financially, due to the low volume or any shutdown that you may be experiencing, then if then after that, unfortunately, riots or civil commotion have overtaking your business, you may put in the claim for that business interruption coverage, and that would help you gain some financial relief as well. So now I want to move on to preparing for a claim, because we've seen quite a bit of those happen. So you want to be proactive and have your broker audit any existing insurance policies and the provisions to identify gaps in coverage. Okay, you want to review and modify any existing contingency plans. You want to estimate, potential impact of long-term closures. We've seen some, states and countries spike back up with their COVID numbers or go down. So it really just depends, and you want to be prepared for if a closure were to happen in the future. Okay, you also want to have a process in place for responding to a loss. All right, so identify equipment, services, third parties that are critical for continued business or operation, and have those documented. Have it all ready. Those documentations like sales, profits, newly purchased equipment or inventory. Insurance companies will want to see this documentation, as it would have to do with your claim and how much you would get back for that claim. So really detail the losses that occurred, the impact it had on your operation, track all those losses, expenses associated with the claim, and highlight how that claim could impact your third parties, your suppliers, your consumers, all that good stuff. Okay. So moving on, I want to speak about how can I positively impact my insurance premiums. Well, we've been making adjustments to premiums for clients, the adjustments to deductibles. You can request temporary coverage. Companies, they've even, some of them have been removing some exclusions. So that is something to tweak and play around with to help you out with your premium amount. All right. Now, going forward, protecting your employees, your customers, and your business going forward, we'd really like to see enhanced risk management. So implement, safety training, employee handbook, reference guides. All those are proven to reduce insurance premiums by mitigating or even eliminating losses. And you can, it further protects your employees as well. So you want to take the proper precautions. It can help your business overall. You want to be proactive. We all know now to have hand sanitizer on standby, face masks, gloves, all that good stuff. You also want to keep in mind, if you're in an enclosed office environment or space, just make sure you're giving your employees some distance as well, so that they're within those safety guidelines. And we also want to understand our policy, our underwriters, our brokers. I think it's very important from a risk management standpoint to really dissect your policy and really know who you're working with. So go ahead and ask yourself, okay, what is my broker's target market? Are they familiar with my industry? Are they familiar with the various claims associated with my industry and the risks associated with a business such as mine? Because every business is different, right? So chances are, the more clientele that they have that's in relation with your industry, the more they've kind of just seen it all, right? I've seen what happens in the marine industry, I've seen what happens in the restaurant industry, and so on. So something to keep in mind as well, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about claims investigation. Ask yourself, when you're subject to a claims investigation, have you done everything possible to prevent that risk? And just be honest with yourself, really identify those potential gaps with your broker in coverage on your policy. All right. Also, ask yourself, will my employees be physically able to return to work? And if so, when? So non-working employees can cost us money, right? And we want to be sure that they're healing quickly, not only for their safety, their health, for their families. And we don't ever want the claim to be escalated or, just go on much longer than it really needs to be, okay? You also want to ask yourself, did my employees take appropriate action in line with best business practices while being cognizant of cybersecurity threats? Okay, we've seen that happen a lot, of course. Management should stay on top of the completed training materials for such things such as cybersecurity threats, and really document those. I think it's a great thing when a company really wants to invest in their cybersecurity system or technology. It's a big help, as well as avoid, some of those claims that you might be subject to. So keep that in mind as well. All right, moving on. We do get a lot of workers' compensation questions. So I want to talk a little bit about why we decided to seek out a payroll partner such as Paycor. They have a great reputation out in the field. In my years of experience of 14, 15, so plus in payroll, it's been proven that their products and their reports are much more efficient through the payroll management system that they offer. It's a seamless audit report, so when you do, it does come time to get audited once a year. It's just prepared. It's right there for you. There's no digging through your files, wasting hours and hours trying to get those reports for the auditor. There's also, I know, a pay-as-you-go program that they offer, which is great because at the end of your term, you're not surprised with, my premium is this much or this low or this high. It's less of a surprise because obviously workers' compensation is based on wages and salaries that your employees are earned. So if anybody works more overtime or less overtime, it's a raise or whatnot, it's not just a guess at this point in time. So, all right. And finally, I would like to go ahead and discuss, choosing the right broker as it relates to insurance. So you want someone who definitely builds strong relationships with underwriters and carriers. Someone who's obviously understanding your business and industry, like I've mentioned, and I have to agree with Nadia and reiterate what she says. Your broker, should really understand your business, what your needs are first. It's not about a sale, and should give the best advice to your company because every company is different. We've seen that. You definitely want someone who also goes above and beyond. Okay, they'll take the time to research your industry, if they're not too familiar with it or whatnot, but they'll really dive in and dissect, all the potential risks that you're exposed to. Also ask for testimonials and read the reviews. We welcome it here at MHG. We're very proud of it. We, ask all of our clients, please leave us a review. We're excited about that. Any potential clients, please go on our website, read our reviews. They're honest, they're open, and lastly, you definitely want someone who will fight for you with their, strong relationships out in the field with underwriters and carriers. We've gone back for our clients and we said, okay, is there anything we can do to adjust the premium or help them out financially or whatnot? So definitely someone who will fight for you is huge. So keep that in mind. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Kayla. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
All right. Thank you so much, Monica. So you raised a lot of interesting points. I just wanted to ask you a quick question. How should a business owner go about renegotiating their rates?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because we, obviously we want everyone to have the most financial satisfaction that they can possibly have in their business. So I would say seek out an insurance broker agent that works with several different insurers. They can often get you better rates. Insurance brokers can often get businesses better rates, to be honest, than agents can. But, research what is actually necessary or required by state law to have on your policy as well. If it's not absolutely necessary or putting your business at risk, you may want to consider removing that or revising your policy just to adjust your rate and get a better result.
Got it. Thanks for the advice. All right, so that wraps up the presentations. So let's go ahead and open it up for questions. And in the interest of time, we'll only be able to answer a few. So let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to send those questions in. We do have some questions here. It looks like this first question is for Besmir. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Paycor can help with PPP reports and COVID?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Kyla. So Paycor has been at the forefront of COVID since this whole thing started, from PPP calculations and the reports needed to be able to know, how much money you can get, to our good support center, which is just filled with tons and tons of information for employees and employers. So anything that in related to COVID, as well as a COVID dashboard that we've built within our system for the most updated data available out there. And on top of that, I would say already updated all the different job codes for sick employees, for example, an employee was leaving on leave, etc. So Paycor has done a tremendous job. On top of just the software aspect of things, we are just very big on thought leadership, being able to educate our prospects and our clients. So, webinars are a huge success for us. We're hosting 2 to 5 of them every week with different topics on, again, just being able to educate on the latest data that we're seeing out there within our industry. So I'm very proud to help educate or help anybody that needs some help in that aspect.
Right, thank you. And I will just do a shameless plug here. You can always go to paycor.com under resources. We do have a coronavirus center where you can go to find the latest and greatest information as far as thought leadership to help your business. All right, next question here. It looks like this question may be for Monica. What's the best way for a business owner to protect their business against cyber threats?
Oh, well, okay. I am glad that someone in the audience asked this question, because actually we've seen a lot of businesses add on cybersecurity insurance to their policy. So I would say you really want to understand what is sensitive data and what is not. Credit card information, for instance, your client's data that might be in your system. So, you also want to educate your employees. I know we get trainings that get handed out to employees, and, we take them to really identify what is a phishing attack or cyber attack. Make sure you've got the right partners and platform as well. Do you have a web application firewall in place to protect your site? Is your e-commerce platform compliant? So I think investing in that software is very important as well. And of course, make sure you've got cybersecurity insurance added to your policy. It covers, your data compromise expenses, crisis management, and regulatory fines, penalties. It identifies recovery and data, and includes data compromise liability. So.
Thank you. All right. We have another question here, and this will go for Nadia. Will the election coming up in November have any impact on group insurance?
I had a feeling I was going to get that question because I've been getting it quite a lot. So as brokers and agents, our job is to make sure that we stay abreast with all policy changes from an insurance standpoint. And that is exactly what we do. We relay the information on our website to our clients and to prospects. This is the policy in place. As of today, there has not been any word on any changes from a policy standpoint. Things are status quo. It's going to be what it is now. Again, if there are changes, we are letting you guys know. But as of today, there is none. Work with your brokers, guys, to make sure that you are compliant and you are moving in the right direction. But again, as of today, there are no policy changes, and we don't expect any. But if there are, we'll let you know.
Good to know there. Thank you, Nadia. This last question, this is for Besmir as well. How can Paycor help with virtual recruiting and virtual onboarding a new employee?
Great question. Thank you, Kyla. So recruiting and onboarding go hand in hand, obviously. And the first thing that a new employee experiences by your organization is a proper onboarding. So what I would say is by having these services, you'll just save so much valuable time and resources overall. And you'll eliminate any type of paperwork, obviously physical contact since COVID, and make sure that everything is up and ready and starting from day one. So that way, when they are indeed showing up to the office, you're not spending your time on filling out paperwork, but you're actually welcoming them to the organization, show them around, and so forth. So being able to just fully automate it, our system will just save you so much time, keep you compliant, and just make a great first impression for your new hires. And why this is so important is because some of the data that we have shows that over 70% of new hires that have not been properly onboarded are already taking a look at switching jobs within the first 6 months. That's obviously a very scary statistic. So we are big advocates on company culture, onboarding, and being able to just utilize all those tools for a great first experience. And that will lead to a long-time success with that employee.
Wow, great information there. Okay. All right, so we have received a lot of great questions, and we would like to continue that conversation. I do want to point out here on this slide all of our speakers' contact information. Feel free to reach out to them if you have any more questions or would like more information. This presentation as well will be posted on the MHG YouTube channel for your reference. So just in case you missed anything, you can check that out there. Also, be sure to check to see if you've won that pair of Apple AirPods incoming communication. All right, so thank you to all the speakers for your time and knowledge and expertise, and thank you all for attending. We appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.